I should maybe trust God now. Okay, let's see. And then we
Right.
have this. Okay, so start talk, just talk and share and blah blah blah. Okay, let's go.
Okay. Good morning, beautiful souls. It's Tim Wild here, and I'm joined by the lovely Mia Kafkios.
Hi.
Hi. And we are here for the final update of 2024. The final
Yes.
update. So this is what an incredible year, hasn't it? It's just been absolutely bonkers. A little, almost like trying to get our social media and streaming sorted this morning. I've still got.
Yes. Can you
I've
share
still,
it, Tim?
I'm just about to do that. Oh look, yeah, here I am. That's me. Right, here we go.
It's always the same thing when we're about to do something
It is. It
technical.
is.
The energy gets too strong, I believe.
It
So,
does. It does. And also, just as a pre-warning, if it starts to rain, I'm going to have to bail and rejoin the meeting because I'm on my lap.
okay.
Last thing we want is a wet MacBook because the two don't go together very well. So
2024, Tim. What do you have to say?
it wouldn't be very PC. There'd be lots of bleeps and everything like that. It's been an absolute rocket ride this year. I've said it so many times before. I've never personally, I mean, this is on a personal level as well, let alone what everybody else is experiencing. I've never experienced a year like it. It has been a physical ruckus of initiation after initiation. But as with all spiritual initiations, there is always the reward at the end of the trials and the tribulations. It just seems to have been back to back initiations, and I'm shown very clearly that all of us are kind of like we have got what we have earned waiting for us, but we had to go through this year in the way that it's been comprised and it's been put together, and we've achieved so much. I mean, I will say I'm always honest. I always like to be kind of candid and frank about my experiences and how I'm feeling. I will be very happy to step into the energy of the new year, and I've got a little bit of information about it as well. So, what do you reckon, Mia? What's been your take on it all?
Well, I feel that we've been activated as masters. You know, our master codes have been activated on completely new levels. Like we've been initiated over and over again to use our gifts and everything that we've been taught and everything that we are starting to remember in our everyday settings, and not only in meditations, not only in when we do like planetary work, but to, you know, how do you do it on an everyday level? You know, bringing in the virtues of Christ, the spirits of Christ, like really starting to live and act on completely new levels. But I also feel that, you know, we have activated so many of our strands in our DNA, and the memory banks are being activated, which means we're not only remembering our past lifetimes, we actually remember a lot of the traumas in our lifetime in this incarnation on completely new levels, which has taken us through intense dark nights of the soul.
Yeah.
And it's like revisiting things that we thought we had worked with, but it's like now you're ready to see it. Now you're ready to see your part too. And now you're ready to see the other parts too. And from here, feel the pain. Now you can feel it, and then you can release it and forgive. So again, you know, the master codes of like, okay, forgiveness on completely new levels, harmlessness on completely new levels. If you had asked me 2 years ago, I would said like, oh my God, I've forgiven everyone. I've forgiven myself. And then it's like, boom. And you're like, oh, I
Yeah.
haven't. And so it's like so deep levels because we haven't been ready
No,
before.
we haven't. It's very interesting what you're saying about the revisiting, because you can only revisit the depth of those shadows when you're taken into the circumstances that provide it, and that's why it's been such an intensive such a physical year. And the I mean, like the higher realms have had incredibly high hopes for the period of time that we are now communicating about this year and this very moment. As we step from one platform of energy into another, we have been asked to step up to the point where we hit a 50-50 balance of awakened and unawakened on this planet. I know initially you kind of questioned my wording or my description of that being the golden ratio, but it quite literally meant a 50-50 split down the middle. So rather than having pockets of awakened people scattered around the planet, we're now like it's almost like a force that is affecting the outcome and the timeline or everything moving forwards. And we're not, I think we've got about 1% to go or something like that. And it could tip into next year, because there is an awful, not watching how I describe things, there is an intensive resistance from what we would regard as the 3D matrix to us achieving this, because once that balance, once that seesaw point has been hit, it goes very much in our direction without any effort whatsoever. It just simply is the way that energy works as it moves through our conscious and unconscious space. It will always seek to form and grow and develop and support at the higher frequencies. Energy doesn't want to be dense. It doesn't want to be constricted. It doesn't want to be forced into a form that is controlled by a certain form of consciousness. It wants to elevate. It wants to be love. So that's what we have been asked to be. And that's what all of the initiations and the tests and the grindings and all of the stuff that we've been through has been about, so that when we are required to be that love, regardless of our circumstances around us, we can do it. We might have to think about it, and we might still have to focus and remind ourselves, but it becomes a second nature rather than something that we really have to kind of go into and almost force the circumstances.
Yeah, it goes fast now. That's like the master codes that I'm seeing in the blueprint and in our light body architecture that is now so activated. So we can see fast when we are out of alignment, like a second of harm if it comes. We're like,
Yeah.
no, like,
Right.
and it's usually, you know, this outer energy is trying to trigger us, right? There's
Yeah.
many souls out there that have these different energies and wounds still there, like trying to trigger us. And we have these incredible masters around us that we decided to incarnate with. We have
Yeah.
at least one master close to us, a teacher that is there, like triggering us, right? And we're like, and that's to practice, to practice, to practice. And like, thank you, thank you, thank you. I'm still not enlightened fully. But I also feel that you talked about resistance, and I do understand the resistance, because some days I'm like, wow, to see all of this, it's intense, because we're walking now with karma and dharma side by side. It's like seeing, you know, you need to have the dark and the light. You see all the karmic lessons and contracts you said yes to carry, and then you see the dharma, the mission that you're here to do. And if we try to escape and only be in our dharma, you know, it will be heavy, because the karma will come afterwards. So it needs to go hand in hand like this. And the resistance is totally understandable from my side, because everything that was really serving me before, that made me happy or excited, you know, it doesn't excite me anymore. It's like, no, so nachos on Fridays doesn't excite me anymore. No, I'm just kidding, but whatever. You know, it's just like gone, 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 gone. All these like outer things that used to, you know, excite us and made us go and thrive. But we have less things that maybe makes us thrive now, but those that are still there, they're accessible in any moment now, because we have that, what thrives us inside of us. And it's just like this morning, I was tuning in when I was meditating, I was like, wow, you know, the still point is here, the zero point is here in 1 second, and I can feel my soul beyond this incarnation. And that's amazing, right? So,
It's yeah, everything that you said there, it's so poignant for our personal experience, and we've got to live in that state of mastery. I think one of the biggest things this year as well, Mia, and you've been talking about this for a long time. It's taking responsibility. It's almost no longer can we as a field of light farm out our difficulties and blame them on the circumstances. We now have the opportunity to be utterly in the driving seat of our experience. Now, I just want to touch a little bit on the energies of what we are stepping into next year, because we have we have an abundance of opportunities to be worried or negative about the world. I mean, if you look at Rome is burning. It really is. And the fiddlers are playing in the media and everything like that. We can see the effects of the visible shadows everywhere, almost to the point where they are overwhelming. And of course, everything has to be at high visibility in order for people to actually recognize this and begin to take responsibility for their part in it, what they might have added to, what they might have agreed to in the past, and what they are going to be collectively constructing for the future ahead. But there is also the you could call it almost like the reward slash incentive scheme that all of us kind of do adhere to on the light path, where we put the effort in, and ultimately, at some point later down the line, we are rewarded for what we do. You don't accumulate good karma and not receive it. So next year, I'm seeing the opportunity to begin to bring back to us what we have put into the field. But ultimately, that will manifest itself as an experience of joyful living. I keep hearing this word over and over again: choose to be joyful. Now, once you are experiencing life in a state of joy, it means that it doesn't mean that you have to be like, oh, I'm so happy, I'm being initiated, I'm being tested, yay. It means looking for the the gratitude or the joyful aspect of the experience that you're going through, and ultimately, why you're going through it, a higher understanding. But in order to separate ourselves from what we would see as the very oppressive energy, we have to create joy within our hearts and joy within our communities and joy within our conversations. Otherwise, we will continue to experience exactly what we're ordering from the Matrix menu. So, this is the beginning of what I am seeing as the community consciousness, collectively choosing to step away, collectively choosing to disengage, collectively participating in loving non-compliance, and forming our own groups of conscious thought. And that then turns into a collective experience. So this is how it all begins. And next year we have to choose, because it's not something that is just, oh, we can reach out and grab it. We have to choose to be that way. So again, down to the responsibility that you've spoken about so many times. Does that make
Yeah,
sense?
yeah, totally. I mean, 2021, we started to talk a lot about unity consciousness, right? It was the first 6-month journey we did. And it has taken us a while to understand what that is. But now we really understand and we feel how it is to be in a group consciousness. And we are a group consciousness. Yet
Yeah.
everything we do affects the all, and we do understand that now. So that means that if I also feel separated with anything, there will be a disconnection from unity. So there is no separation, and even the darkest things that happens in the matrix are there for us to elevate faster. And it's all about, how do I connect to this? What is the energy I have towards this, right? So it's like we decided to incarnate in this incarnation where there is a silent war. We know that it's a silent war through technology, and we are being hit all the time through cell tower radiation and stuff. And in many ways, it would be like, okay, don't use your computer, don't use your phone. But there's an incredible opportunity this lifetime for us to connect beyond countries and sit and do massive works together that was not possible in other lifetimes. So we can choose to be a victim of the circumstances, or we can choose to be the creators of like, how can I use this in the highest capacity, right? And I think that's where we all the time need to work and see, because we did choose to come here in these incredible times of a full liberation cycle, which has never happened in one incarnation. We are talking being full sleep, coming to a full awakening, which has not
Absolutely.
happened. Yeah.
It reminds me of that wonderful story that I might have told it in one of our webinars, but back in the 90, and some people might remember me speaking about this, back in the 1950s or the 1960s, there was this computer that was being used by the United States military, and they used to be able to, and they used to punch in a load of what scenarios, and the computer would then predict the outcome. And so this was very much used to manipulate the kind of like how the world was run. And eventually they got to a point where no matter what they put into the computer, regardless of the scenario, the outcome was always enlightenment. And the period of time that that computer was predicting is the one that we are living in now. And it drove them round the bend, because it doesn't matter what they did, whatever they put into the computer, it was like computer says no, it's enlightenment. It doesn't matter what you do, doesn't matter where you go, doesn't matter what action you take, the world is going to wake up, period. And that's where we are now. And it's just like, we're so privileged, aren't we?
Yeah.
We've chosen to be here at this time, but not only that, we were picked for the job. And sometimes, I always like to step back from time to time and like kind of go, actually, what I've done here is pretty cool. What we're doing collectively is pretty cool. Not just pretty cool, but massively so. We're part of this kind of consciousness liberation and collective wake up on this entire world. And we're being watched by all of these beings of light from all around the universe, who are now kind of like, they're fully cheerleading every single one of us, which is great. So what a time
Yeah.
to be alive.
I mean, I sent it to you, Tim, too, the Virgin Mary movie on Netflix. And I feel there's so many similarities to that incarnation, that timeline where there was massive shifts.
Yeah.
And that's a lot of the same, Christ consciousness is returning back to earth. Regardless if you believe it's going to be in an embodiment of a person or not, it doesn't matter what you believe. It's like we know Christ consciousness is returning back. And when I look at that movie or reading the book that you gave about Mother Mary, it's like, you were just like easily in 1 second, you were like, I'm ready to die for God. I'm ready to die for what I believe in, right? And here we are. And in all the streaming of the victimizer program, we might forget how free we are. We can speak our truth all the time. In most of the countries, at least, we can. And I mean, how many lifetimes have that been possible? And that's what you talk about, I think, like we are free and we are sovereign in this lifetime. And we have, thank God to all of our ancestors that walked before us and paved the way for us to be able to be here and be so free and sovereign. And that's where we can really understand that it's up to me to bring in joy today. I don't need anything in the outer. It's inside of me. It's in my sacred crystal heart. It's a communication link straight into God. And I have it within me. God gifted me the sacred crystal heart and the emerald heart, and it's inside of me. And I can access it at any moment. And I think that's when we start to really understand that in every single moment, that's when our life changes.
Absolutely. That's a very interesting point that you've just made about the kind of the freedom to express ourselves. And if you think about it, if you were if you were here 500 years ago, they'd have had you straight on the dunking stool. So, it's the jokes aside, the things, that's a lot of what we've been clearing as well. That incredible spiritual oppression, fear of speaking, all of the other tests and the initiations that particularly they've been very, very intense in the last 2000 years or so. 2000 years is very close to home. We that's fresh out of the incarnation box, and we'll be still processing that very readily at the moment. And we do have the opportunity to just simply wake people up with our words, not just with our words now, but also with our vibration, with our frequency. It's like this inside job that's occurring throughout every single one of us as our light bodies communicate with each other long before the mind or the mouth actually speaks. And it's again, it's spreading around the world so quickly.
And we cannot understand what is really about to happen. We can have a glimpse on it, we can feel it, but like in human design that I've been talking a lot about, where you have all these different types, you have manifestor, generator, reflector, and all of this. There's a new type coming 2027 called the ravens, and these children are fully telepathic and they communicate with each other in a new group. This is massive. So we know that they're completely different souls about to incarnate here on earth, and we are preparing for that. All the healing I'm doing, you doing, team, is for our children, so they can birth out this incredible new high-level beings that so many have been prophesizing now lately about. So 2027, there's a new group of souls coming in. They said 2025, but apparently it's going to be 2027. And there's many that I've been talking about, the ravens, and this kids will be completely on another level. So sometimes you're also forgetting, right? It's the souls incarnating, even 2025, 2026, 2027 will have a completely different consciousness. And we are paving the way for them. Everything you do, everything all of us listening here are doing is affecting the collective and the frequency of the electromagnetic field on Earth, right? And we're opening the solar sun disks, we're opening the stargates, we're clearing the network on Earth for them to be able to even come here, because so many, they're doing like massive tests now on all of those that have not only ADD, but that have different disorders, but they are so telepathic because they cannot speak, and you think that they are like brain dead, but they are so awake. So there's so many changes happening very fast, and more people are now ready and open to receive this information and all these tests that are being run on these new children. And that gives me a lot of hope, and it feels like, wow, so we are really doing something for those yet to come. And sometimes we forget that because they will not come with all this karma as we have.
No. That's been a massive theme since 2012, is even the children that have been born since 2012 onwards, they've come free of the wheel of karma and kind of locked and loaded with their 12 chakras, with their 12 strand DNA. But it's very interesting that what you've just said about the platform of energy now being ready to hold an even higher frequency soul, and that's absolutely that rings completely. That's very resonant, because we haven't been ready here. We've had so much to clear and so much to prepare, and that also kind of gives a good indication of where we're going to be on a structural level when it comes to that period of time, which isn't far away. It's a couple of years at the very, very most. So yeah, that's what did you say they were again? The ravens, as in
ravens. Yeah, ravens. I can put some information about it in the comments. Actually, it's really interesting. It's a completely new group in this structure that is already so out there. So yeah, it gives me shivers just talking about it. It's like, wow, I feel this connection. Yeah. And we're calling out on all those masters that wants to I was tuning into the work that we're gonna do in this new earth, prepare for the new earth. And what was coming in this morning is that we're gonna assist souls. We're gonna hold space for you guys that really want to activate your gifts. It's going to be a lot about activating your gifts on completely new levels, and how can you use your gifts in your everyday life for yourself and all of those around you. And of course, we're going to do a lot of planetary work there together using all of our different gifts. But yeah, we're calling out on you guys. We're starting in a few weeks, Tim.
I know that this is it's I've had quite a few of these conversations. It's like, how come it's the 1st of January here in the UK tomorrow? It might be different dates around the world, but that's the beginning of the new platform of energy, and that's when we begin work next year. We've got you and I have got a lovely event to catapult us into the new energies on the new year on the 5th, haven't we, Mia? We've got the
Yes.
igniting your new year coding on the 5th, and that'll be at 7 p.m. UK time. And then on the 27th, we begin the 6th month journey, the preparation for the new earth. So there's so much to do this year. It's incredible. And talking on the subject of gifts, it's we hear this term a lot in the spiritual glossary, gifts and talents. How do you recognize them? How do you start to work with them? How do you know if you've got a certain gift? And we'll be working through all of this, and how to use it, how to acknowledge it within you, and ultimately how that particular gift serves your individual pathway. It's interesting stuff.
Yeah, because by the end of the day, we actually are here to serve. We are here to serve others, and our life becomes so fulfilling when we feel that we're making a difference,
Yeah.
and when we tune into our unique instruction set, because we all have a unique instruction set. But I also like that's a cool thing. So you're gonna get your own instruction set, but then we're gonna set all these instruction sets together, and we're gonna work as a group for 6 months. And this is a new, so many believe it's the same thing we've done before, but it's not. This is a new thing. And it has been like 100 souls already holding the field and preparing it with me and team for almost 6 months. So this is going to be something completely different.
Yeah. It
Yeah.
is. It is. I'm very much looking forward to stepping into that energy. I'm very excited about next year.
Me
It's
too, I
the
think.
usual kind of like, usually it's excitement with a slash of trepidation, like, oh, what could possibly happen? But I'm just looking forward to it. Like
I
plain and simple,
I
I think.
totally agree. Yeah, and the webinar we're doing on Sunday is going to be so beautiful. It's like assisting to raising our frequency so we can really enter this year in the highest capacity available for us. So that's also always very beautiful to enter this year with a lot of intention and
Yeah.
doing it in a strong group feel together. So,
I'm
yeah.
I'm a big believer of coming fresh out the gates with all of the intentions. Like, right, here we go. Let's go get this. So yeah, that's what we're going to be doing on the 5th. I'm looking forward to that.
Totally. Thank you, everyone, for this incredible year, for walking with us,
Yeah,
for being so brave out there and making a difference.
absolutely.
Thank you,
It's
Tim.
Thank you, Mia, and from our hearts to yours, Happy New Year.
Happy New
Blessings,
Year.
yeah, blessings and joy for the new one, and very shortly we will see you on the other side, won't we?
Oh, yes. Oh, yes. Many blessings to all of you
Lots
and
of love.
team. Love you all.
Yours.
Mwah.
Bye.
Bye.
Bye.